Welcome into BBOC Tailgate. We bet college football player props. I'm Tim Kalinowski, joined by Mike Calabrese. We're in week 12 here. We're 26, 22, and 1 on the season. We just flip-flop every week. We either wipe the board or we get kind of like a reverse swept or whatever. Last week, 1-4, one of them an injury. It just stings. It's going to be our record this year feels like one of those shootout games where team with the ball last wins. We're going to have to end on a really good week. So that's the situation we're in right now, Brees.
Yeah, I agree. But, you can't play scared. You got to go right after the board here. And I'm going to get a little crafty because the one number I wanted to see pop first was Ollie Gordon the second. He had a down week. It was rain. UCF was stacking the box because they couldn't throw the ball. So he had his worst game really since his hot streak began. So I was hoping, hands pressed together, can I get like 117.5? No, hits the board mid 130s. But I'm going to find a different way to play this one. How about his quarterback, Alan Bowman, under 267.5 passing yards? And the rationale is pretty simple. When they play in shootouts and when it's back and forth games, as it was against Kansas and Oklahoma, in those two games, he threw 83 total passes and averaged 335 yards per game through the air. So that's scary. But when they win in blowouts, as they did against Cincinnati and West Virginia in the past month, in those games, his attempts drop all the way down to the mid-30s, and his yardage through the air drops down to 248 yards per game. So what I see here is Ollie Gordon II licking his chops against a Houston run defense that can't stop anybody. They're 107th in success rate. And in terms of like the blowout potential, there's also potential for Bowman to get the hook. He's got a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio on the season. We've seen backup quarterbacks take the field for Mike Gundy this year. So I think there's plenty of outs. There's the blowout out. There's the just feed Ollie Gordon 40 carries out. And there's the Bowman being ineffective and getting pulled early in this game. All of those would cash in those scenarios. So I'll go under 267.5. I play this down to probably just around the cusp of 260.5.
Yeah, we'll see how if the Bedlam hangover goes the last 14 days for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Well, I like the angle took. Give me plenty of outs. That's all I need. How about, I don't know if you've heard of this player, Calabrese, Travis Hunter, over 61.5 receiving yards. And since returning from injury in week 7, he's been an absolute force, averaging 80 receiving yards a game. And that's including a game against UCLA in which he had 7 receiving yards. So if you throw that out, it gets even crazier. And this Colorado team, they throw the ball almost more often than any team in America. And Washington State allows teams to throw the ball almost more than anybody in America. And I think the biggest thing when you're going to be betting on Colorado here is, or in any which way, is the offensive line. Because if they just continue to go backwards, obviously that'll kill your props. But Sanders, obviously he's sacked more than anybody in the country. But Washington State, they don't sack the quarterback. 119th in sacks per game. Give me Hunter up to, I say, 66.5. A big day for the Buffs. They got to do everything they can to get bowl eligible.
I mean, we've been eating all year on those receiver props between like 48 and 70 and going over in those spots. So I'll throw another one in here. How about Georgia Tech's freshman, Eric Singleton Jr., over 64.5 receiving yards? Georgia Tech needs one more win to reach bowl eligibility. And with Georgia on deck, they got to win this week. So they're up against a Syracuse defense. How do you beat Syracuse? You beat them through the air. Yes, they're 55th in success rate, but they've given up the 89th most yardage through the air, 237.5 per game. So what I think that sets up for is, can Singleton pop the big play? They've given up 10 pass plays of 40-plus yards on the season, Syracuse has. And guess what he does better than anyone, arguably in the ACC, is create the big play. So I look at this as an opportunity for him to hit a 40-plus yard catch and get more than halfway there. He's hit at least one reception of 40 yards or more in half of his starts this season and quickly become Haynes King, the Georgia Tech quarterback's favorite target. In the last 3 weeks, he's been targeted 29 times. We'd love to talk about target share. That ties him with Florida's Eugene Wilson as the most targets by any freshman in the entire country in the last 3 games. So I'll go with the hot hand, the player who can get me more than halfway there with one reception. Go with Singleton Jr. over 64.5. I'd play it up to, let's say, 67.5.
Yeah. How do you beat Syracuse? You just play them post week 5. I think that's the formula there as well. So go Georgia Tech in that one. I bet them. I laid the points. How about I'm going to stay in the Pac-12. Oregon running back Jordan James. What? They got another running back besides Bucky Irving? Yeah. Pay attention. I have James over 48.5 rushing yards, probably like it up to 55.5. And this has everything to do with Bucky Irving's health. Look, Oregon, they're on the precipice of a college football playoff berth, could possibly, win the Pac-12. They're the favorite to do so right now. And they're playing an Arizona State team in which they're laying 23 plus points. And so Irving actually was banged up in his last 2 games. So there's no reason for Oregon to continue to run Irving into the ground, especially once they get a big lead. And it's funny, James actually has a better yards per carry number than Irving does, 7.4. And then you just dive into the Arizona State defensive rush numbers. It's unbelievable. Oregon, run play explosiveness, 26. Arizona State, 96. Rush play success rate, Oregon, 3. Arizona State, 77. EPA per play, rushing plays that is, Oregon, 3. Arizona State, 97. Ducks get up big, they cruise. James gets over this number.
Let's keep with the backup running back theme. I'm looking at Michigan against Maryland. Maryland's 77th rated run defense in terms of success rate. And they've also just looked absolutely lost offensively. 28 points in the past 2 weeks. What does that equate to? Garbage time. Here comes Donovan Edwards, minus 135 anytime touchdown. He's scored in 3 of the last 4 games as the Wolverines, featured number 2 running back. In those games, he's totaled 33 carries, but 8 of them have come in goal-to-go situations, which is what I really like. Some of those have come with the game in doubt. He doesn't necessarily just have to be in a blowout, and he gets the feature back treatment when Michigan is kicking the stuffing out of teams, and they're going to do it to the Turtles here. Maryland is just, you joked about Syracuse after week 5. Maryland's turned into a pumpkin at this point. So when I look at this, minus 135 compared to Corum, who these books are just out of control. They're dropping negative 1,800s on Blake Corum to get in the end zone. Let's take a value play here at minus 135. I think he's going to get into the end zone. And also, as an added bonus, he has 27 targets in 2023. So he is involved in the passing game. There's a chance for him to take a swing pass or an angle route or something like that and get into the end zone. So he's not solely a ground and pound weapon. That's why I like this play so much. I would play it probably up to minus 150.
I'm going to play a parlay this week, Calabrese, and I would throw James in this as well. Anytime touchdown of the garbage time touchdowns for teams that have bigger and better things on the horizon. I think throwing 3 to 5 backs in there, wide receivers, a little round robin action. I think you could have yourself a ton of fun in learning some names that you might not have known earlier in the season. So what do you think of that? You think I'm getting warm or cold there?
I think you're onto it. And honestly, you look at teams' overall preference. I can certainly speak for Michigan. They ran the ball every single time that they could in the second half against Penn State. So I don't have to worry about them getting, some opportunities for backup quarterbacks running a full offense. It's going to be vanilla. It's going to be ground and pound. And in this week, that means Donovan Edwards.
Yeah, there's plenty of situations like that this week. That's week 12 for Mike Calabrese. I'm Tim Kalinowski. Good luck in all your bets this weekend.